studio. And thank you for joining me for another episode of Throwback Thursday. Throwback Thursday is where I don't, pardon me, there's little bits of stuff on my table here that I'm messing around with. So my Throwback Thursday series of videos is where I pull out my retired stash and I create two projects. I have found that a lot of the products that I use in my Throwback Thursdays, a majority of the time, this is actually the first time that I am putting ink to the stamp set, which is pretty sad. So I've had a lot of positive feedback when I do these series of videos because, again, the product is retired and a lot of you may have it. And, again, there's always so many new things that are coming out. And when people see some ideas of what to do with something they already have, it just gives them that a little bit of inspiration and makes them want to pull it out and, play with those products that have now retired. So I want to give a little bit of a shout out. So last Thursday's video, I had used the Coffee with Friends stamp set. It's a standalone stamp set. There's no dies or punches that coordinate with it. For this Thursday, I am using the Blueberry Bunches stamp set. This just recently retired. This, I believe, was in our online exclusives. And so now this is retired. So again, this is a standalone stamp set. And then next Thursday, I will be featuring a bundle called Nested Friends, which let me pull it out really quick to show you. Hold on. So this is the bundle right here. So you got the bird, you got your nest. You can do like a very detailed nest in this one as well. So this will be next Thursday, which I can't see offhand what that date is. I don't have the calendar right in front of me. But I want to give a little bit of a shout out to somebody who watches my Throwback Thursdays, gives me a lot of nice comments, and she's actually the one that inspired the series of products that I'm using. So like the Coffee with Friends, the Blueberry Bunches, and the Nested Friends. So I want to give that shout out to Melody Cole. Thank you so much for following me, watching the videos, and the comments. All of that really does help with YouTube in getting my videos out there for others to see. And I totally appreciate it. So thank you so much. And with that, let me just mention that if there is something that maybe there's a stamp set or a bundle, maybe a suite that you have that is retired, or it can be something that's current as well. Uh, just simply put a comment under the video and let me know what product you would like to see me demonstrate. If I have the product, I will fit that into the video schedule. Now, what I do is when we get towards the end of a month, I plan out the next month. And so, yeah, depending on the timing in which you request it, I will add it to the schedule. And if it's something that I have, well, that's the important thing, right? If I have it, and if I haven't done anything with it yet, like there's not already been a video that I've done, I'll be more than happy to add it to the video schedule for that month. So, yeah, so just, put a comment below the video and, just ask what you would like me to demonstrate for you. Okay, so the two cards that I am going to be making for you in this episode, um, let me bring in the bits and pieces that we need for it. Now, these cards, they are very easy cards, ones that you can throw together pretty quickly. This one, definitely, if you love blue, most of all our projects, that's exactly what it's going to be. So, along with our blueberry bunches stamp set, we have blueberry bushel cardstock. This measures 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. And then these two pieces of cardstock, I have Balmy Blue and Basic White. Each one of these measures 4.5 by 2.5. And that's the only pieces of cardstock that we need for this particular project. So I'm going to score, well, I already scored, so I'm going to fold and burnish my card base. I'm going to bring in some scrap paper because we're going to do some stamping on our card base, and we'll be kind of stamping off on the side. So I don't want to try and keep my grid paper clean so I can reuse it again when I do my next video, which will be my Friday Night Live. And for this Friday, I will be using the Everyday Skies Sweet Collection. This, I believe, is an online exclusive item. It's still available. And I do not think, let me check just to make sure, but I'm pretty sure it's not something that is on our last chance product list. Basically, that last chance product list is our items that are going to be retiring. And I don't think that this one is, because I know that the dies that go with that suite, it's very popular. So I'm taking a quick peek here on the Stampin' Up website, and it's not going away. Now, I will mention that again, it's a suite. So right now, Stampin' Up has a pretty sweet deal going on their suites. So the suites, let me bring in my graphic here so I can show you. So the sale that's going on right now, this goes until the end of June. When you buy one suite or any of the products that are within a suite, you buy one and you get one at 50% off. So the way it works, say if you go to order two suites, just two suites in your order, you'll pay the regular price for the higher um, priced suite, and then the other one that's lower priced, you would get that at 50% off. Now, other than full suites, any product, whether it's bundles, embellishments, ribbons, designer series paper, if it's part of a suite, it's part of this deal. Just be mindful and remember that, say if you put in there two suites and then two additional packs of designer series paper that are part of a suite, what'll happen, you'll get 50% off on the designer series paper. So you want to be a little strategic, when you take advantage of this sale. Those items that would be discounted to 50% off, when you look at your order, it will have like this little box in the upper left hand corner where the picture of the product is, and it'll say offer. So that's going to be the item that's going to be 50% off. So to really maximize the discount that you would get, just take a look at your order before you submit, so that way you get the best deal. And if you have any questions, I mean, it is a little bit confusing. It was confusing to me as well. but just let you know that even items that are in the last chance product listing that you'll see in the online store, if there was an item that was part of a suite, so for example, our black and very vanilla large checked ribbon is now in the last chance products listing. And so I had added like 2 rolls of that to an order, and I totally forgot that that ribbon was originally in a Christmas suite, I think in a holiday mini from like 2 years ago. So I ended up paying full price for one, and then I got another one at half off. So even if it's something that is retiring and is on that last chance list, if it was part of a suite, then it's part of the sale. So again, if you got any questions or you want any clarification regarding this, just simply, there's my email is in the description of this video, or you can put in the comments, and I'll be more than happy to answer any questions you may have regarding that. Okay, so that's going to be tomorrow. So the Everyday Skies suite of products. This is the one with the Everyday Arches dies. One of the items that kept on selling out. So we're going to be featuring that tomorrow night in my Friday Night Live, and I go live at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. And if for any reason we get like severe weather, depending on the timing of it, I may bump it up and start like maybe a half an hour to an hour earlier. When we get severe weather, I do want to be weather aware and know what's going on around me, and also not take a chance that, if the power trips, then it's going to knock off, it'll knock me off the Wi-Fi, and then the whole live will kind of be messed up. So if I do decide to change the time, again, it's regularly 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. Right here on YouTube, I will post something on my channel to let you know that. Okay, so for the base here, I am going to pull out this stamp right here. And let's see, we want this one. And then I'm also going to pull out this larger one right here. And of course, my lights reflect off of the plastic. And then the thank you. So this stamp set does have like some mixed type of fonts on it. So you got some scripty words, and then they also have some of the regular prints in here as well. So it's a very versatile stamp set. So let me bring in, let's see, let me get my smaller block, put this on here. Okay, and then we'll place this on here like so. And then, so on these stamps, I don't have the labels on them, and basically it's because I'm just lazy. The other thing too is, like, if you look at this stamp, for example, when they had die cut the stamp, you can see that the greeting here is not exactly centered. So if I put the sticker on, it's not really going to show me exactly where the greeting is. So one of the reasons why I don't put the stickers on, plus with those stickers, you got to be careful because you only have one chance to put them on, because if it's crooked or whatever, you can't just peel it off because it's so sticky, it will actually tear the foam on your stamp. So yeah, you got to be careful when you actually put those labels on. So what I do is, when I put my stamp on a block, I just visualize just like the bottom of the greeting and see if it's, in line with the base of my block. So if I look at this, it looks like it's actually, it looks like it's pretty good. So first try, and I wasn't even trying. Okay, so then for this and this particular stamp right here, I'm going to bring in Blueberry Bushel ink. So it's all about the blueberries in this episode. And so I'm going to ink this up, and I'm going to randomly stamp this around on my card base. Now we're going to have like this cardstock is going to kind of like be in the middle here. So I'm not so concerned if I don't have anything right smack in the middle of it. Just want to put, and I'm rotating my stamp as I go as well. Okay. I'll flip this. And then we'll add a little bit right up here in this corner. Okay, so there's our card base. And I'll set that aside. And then my piece of basic white. Okay, so we got this big image here. What I'm going to do, I'm going to stamp this using my Memento Tuxedo Black ink. Now, when you get the Memento, it does come in a felt ink pad. This is one of our craft white ink pads, and it comes with a reinker. The craft ink is more, has like a consistency like as if it's paint. But when you get this ink pad, there's no ink on it. It's just an empty, uninked foam pad. And I took my Memento Tuxedo Black reinker. I inked up my pad. Now, this isn't my idea. Somebody else came up with it. And one of the things that I like about that I did it this way is that when you use the felt pad, your black isn't really dark and crisp when you go and stamp it. It's not like stays on, which that's more of like a solvent ink where you will get that crisp black stamped image. Uh, if you put the Memento in the foam pad, what happens, you get a really nice crisp dark black stamped image. So this is going to just fit on here. So I'm going to kind of line it up like about that, because there is a border around the image itself. And you can see that you really get that really dark black crisp image when, and again, it wouldn't look like this if I use the felt pad, the original packaging that the Memento ink comes in. So again, the white craft ink pad, when you order it, you get an uninked pad, and then you also get a re-inker bottle with it. And so instead of adding the white ink to this, I just took the reinker for the Tuxedo Black, and then I put it in my ink pad. So again, just a little tip. And let me just set this aside like this. And let me clean these stamps really, really quick. And I got my stamp and scrub right here. We'll be using these again, so just want to have them clean and dry for when I use it for our next card. Okay, now the other thing I'm going to do on here, so my thank you, I'm going to bring in the Blueberry Bushel ink. And again, I'm just visually looking at this, and I see that the greeting is closer to the bottom than it is to the top. You can see that, again, it wasn't die cut perfectly centered. So I am going to ink this up. And again, my greeting is lined up with the straight edge on the bottom. And I'm going to make that kind of line this up on my grid paper so it's straight, and I'm basically looking at the bottom edge of the block and seeing where the cardstock is and where I'm going to stamp my greeting. And there you go. The best way to try and get your greetings stamped straight, if they're a red rubber stamp. Now, if this set was photopolymer, you can see through those stamps, so you can see exactly where you're stamping. But unfortunately, this is red rubber. Okay, so we're going to color this in, and we're not using a whole lot of colors. It's pretty simple. You know what color that is. That's our Blueberry Bushel blends. And then I have the light and dark Old Olive as well. So I'm going to start off with my dark Blueberry Bushel. And you see all of these little shadow lines that the artist had put on the image. I am going to go over that using the dark. And then I will come back and I will fill the rest of these blueberries in using the light marker. Now these are, the Stampin' Blends are alcohol markers. So the ink that you use to stamp your image, you can use, like I said, the Memento Tuxedo Black ink. Excuse me, why does my throat always do this? It gets all scratchy, you know, every time I go to record. Weird things that happen when you go and you're recording a video. So when you're using the alcohol markers, you want to use a dye-based ink. You don't want to use a solvent ink. So for stamping this, for stamping this, you can either use the Memento Tuxedo Black ink, or you can actually use one of the colors as well. Now, I did not stamp this in Blueberry Bushel, and the reason why is that when I would go to color this in, especially like the dark, you wouldn't see any of these shadow lines at all. So with the black, at least you can you can still see those lines. And just going around these edges of the blueberries, wherever I see those little those shadow lines, that's where I'm adding my dark. And then what I do now to really get this these colors, you know, to blend really well, you want to do it where the ink is still wet. So basically, you know, if you're working on one blueberry at a time, you know, you can start off with your dark and then go and shade over it with the light, or you can do it vice versa, do the light first and then the dark. Because these images are fairly small, what I do a lot of times, I will go in, I will add my dark color, and I will let that dry for a bit, and then I'll come in with the lighter shade, and then I'll kind of blend that out. There's really no right or wrong way, really, on using these. When I do it that way and I let it dry, then, you know, you're able to see both of the shades of the color. So we got the blueberries, that's done. I'm going to let that dry for a bit. I'm going to bring in my dark Old Olive blend. I'm going to come in, and so the stem, I'm going to color that in with the dark. And I'm just going with a really light touch. Okay. And then on these leaves, So where it kind of touches another leaf or it touches the blueberry, I'm going to add that dark because that's going to add like the shadow for my leaves. Okay, and then where these veins are, I'm just going to go right over them with my marker. And then once I let this dry some, I'm going to come in with my light old olive and I'll just blend this all out. You'll still be able to see this dark old olive. So I'm not really overthinking on my coloring. I'm keeping it simple. Okay, and then in and right, and then over on this side, kind of go around this blueberry here. Okay. So put that aside. Now we'll go back to the blueberries and I'm going to bring in my light blueberry bushel and I'm just going to fill these all in. And one of the other things you can do, since this does not have any dies that go with it, if you are somebody who actually enjoys doing fussy cutting, you can fussy cut it out and you can pop it up on your card. Or the way I would do it, because you know, I'm not shy to say that I don't like fussy cutting. I don't find it relaxing, and it actually becomes a little painful after a while. So it's one of the reasons why I did invest in a Brother Scan and Cut for things like this, where you know you can stamp your images and then like say, because usually I make more than one card. I mean, you can get 2 cards out of a sheet of cardstock. So typically you know, if I mass produce something, yeah, I'll do all my stamping and I'll do my coloring and then I'll use that scan and cut to cut the image out. And again, that's for the ones that especially don't have dies, to where you can cut this out. So now I'm going to come in with my light old olive and I'm going to fill this all in. And again, I'm not overthinking on my coloring, I'm just coloring. Now there's a lot of alcohol markers that are out there on the market. One of the bigger name brands is Copic. Those markers are pretty expensive actually, just for one marker. The price point for the Stampin' Blends, you do get it as a combo pack. You get a light and a dark shade. And I believe, ooh, what is the price of them now? Like, you know, it's been a while. I know at one point what price it was, but they may have gone up. So let me take a quick peek. So, I mean, either way, the price of the combo pack for our Stampin' Blends is definitely a lot less than the Copic markers. The Copic markers are more of an artist grade alcohol marker. Our combo packs, the price of them, again, you get a light and a dark shade, are $11 here in the US. So definitely a lot cheaper. What would that be, like $5.50 per marker? A lot cheaper than, say, getting a Copic marker. So these are perfect for those that are, you know, or if you want to try it out and you're a beginner in using alcohol markers. These are like your best bet. Okay, so there is our image. Okay, and then I'm going to take this piece here. I'm going to bring in some of my Stampin' Seal. Add some adhesive to the back of this. And then I'm going to bring in my silicone craft sheet. This is really good to use whenever you're using any kind of adhesives. Because if this turned over and it got on the paper, of course, then it would stick to the paper. If it's on your silicone craft sheet, then the adhesive staying on your cardstock, and the same thing with liquid glue. Okay, so I'm going to turn my Balmy Blue piece off to like an angle here. And then I'm going to come over and I'm going to kind of put my stamped and colored image straight. So we got a little bit of that Balmy Blue poking it off of the out. I can't talk, you know, off the outer edges of this basic white. Okay, so now I'm going to bring in some of my dimensionals. Now, I have a lot of sheets here that have just the edging on them and not the actual dimensionals. So these are just as good, and these are perfect for doing like pieces like this. So I'm just going to kind of trim this up a little bit into smaller pieces. And so there's no waste at all on a sheet of dimensionals. So yeah, this is also, like I was mentioning earlier, one of those stamp sets. We've had it for a while, and this is the first time, well, other than making the sample cards for this video, it's the first time that I actually put ink on this stamp set. So so it works for me too. You know, I can say that, you know, yeah, I used it. See, what happens a lot of times when we have a catalog that goes and retires, I mean, realistically, you know, you can't, you know, buy it all when the new catalog first comes out. So a lot of times what happens when the catalog goes to retire, you know, we find out what is going to retire and what's going to carry over. So a lot of times if it carries over, it's like, okay, well, I have time. I can still, you know, get it at some point. But then if it retires, I make this list. Now I'm going to put this on here, and I want my white piece to be straight. So let me line this up on my grid paper and kind of center it. Bring it down some. And center this like so. It's somewhat straight, somewhat centered, but it still looks good. But what happens is, you know, when you know it's retiring and you're at the end of that catalog, I end up ordering these stamp sets, and then what happens? Before I finish up what I'm saying, I'm going to bring in my clear wing Castella, and I'm going to add some just on the blueberries. So what happens, you know, I'll order it, and then when I get it, of course, now at that point it's retired, and then I end up putting it away. So all my stamp sets are in alphabetical order. So I'll put it away, and then, new catalog, new product, and what happens, you kind of forget about it. And when I was starting to do my video content, uh, definitely doing like a Throwback Thursday was something I was definitely going to do because, again, there's a lot of people that have retired product. And, unfortunately, sometimes these products, they'll be around for a while, and sometimes they end up retiring and discontinuing. And so it's like, then at that point, you want some inspiration on what you can do with that stamp set that retired. And seeing people work with the retired stuff, that just gives you some inspiration, gets you to like, hey, I got that. So let me pull that out. Let me play with it again. So, yeah, so it works for me too. It's given me that opportunity, hey, I spent the money on this. Let me at least go and use it. So it's working out pretty good. So there is our first card. Now I realized after the fact, after I created these cards and I took pictures of them, uh, yeah, I did want to put some kind of embellishment on here. Like we have those iridescent rhinestones that are also retired, but yeah, I forgot to pull them out and put it on there. But I do have some of that sparkle with using the Winkostella on those blueberries. So it's got a little bit of bling on it. So it's still a simple card. It's not overly done. The only time-consuming thing about it is the coloring that you're doing. Okay, so now let me bring in this stuff for my second card. So for this one, I'm bringing my pieces. So for my card base, hold on a second. Hold on. My whole screen on my laptop went dark. I don't have it plugged in, so yeah, I need it for all my dimensions for my card pieces. So for my card base, this is Crumb Cake. It's 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4.25. I have a piece of the Regals 6x6 Designer Series paper. This measures 5.5 by 1.5. Now, every year when we get a new catalog, Stampin' Up they sell packages of the 6x6 Designer Series paper in their color collection. So you have a pack for your brights, one for regals, one for subtles, one's for neutrals, and then of course the in colors as well. So every year with a new catalog, the ones that were in the previous catalog retire and they come out with ones with new patterns. So this pack here, this is what was from last year's catalog that just retired back, at the end of April, very beginning of May. And so that's where this pattern came from. Now, this, of course, is on the last chance list. And before I recorded this video, which it's Saturday evening that I'm actually recording this, and then it'll schedule and post on Thursday at 5 a.m. In the online store, this is still available. That's why in the description with this designer series paper, I did not put down that it was retired because it is still available and it is also marked down. So let me let you know what that is. Right. Since I have the website up. So our paper is usually this is usually like $12.50 in the US. Right now, since it's on the last chance list, it is marked down to $7.50. So if you like some of these patterns that are on here, so you got the lines and all that, this is still available. Okay. And then I have a piece of blueberry bushel. This measures 2 3/4 by 2 1/8. Scrap piece of basic white. I have a piece here that I die cut ahead of time using the Nested Essentials die. So it's one of these rounded rectangular dies that I had used. And then I'm going on this scrap piece, I'm going to stamp my greeting. And then I'm going to use the 1 1/4 inch. I know it's glaring off there. The 1 1/4 inch circle punch. Okay, so like our last card, I'm going to kind of do the same technique on this one. I'm going to stamp my images on my card base. So let me bring in my scrap paper here. So for this, I'm going to bring in my Blueberry Bushel ink. Now this time I'm going to kind of reverse the stamps that I use. So the last card, this was our focal point, this bigger image. I'm going to use this and stamp my background on my card front. And again, I'm not stamping off. I'm doing it full strength. And again, I'm going to be adding this strip of Designer Series paper across the middle of it. So I'm not worried about filling every single spot in. So if the middle is kind of open, then that's fine. And because this is a bigger image, I don't have to stamp this as much. Okay, let me bring back my video. I like to have the video playing. So this is technically, as I'm doing this is an unpublished live, and I like to kind of like watch it off to the side just to make sure, you know, I'm still in the camera view and you can still see it. All right, so then I'm going to stamp another one right here. So it's enough that we have filled in on our card base. Okay, and then I'll set that aside. On this piece here, I'm going to use the smaller one, and I'm going to ink this up. Now, not all of this is going to fit on this piece. Let's see, which way do I want it to go? I want it to go this way. But I'm just going to visually look at it and kind of center it in a way. And again, I know that some of the leaves may get cut off a little bit. And you know what I just realized? I stamped this in the blueberry and I'm going to color it in, so I don't know what's going to happen when I color in those blueberries, but we're going to give it a try, because I think the last one, my sample, I did it in, I think I did it in black. It almost looks like I did it in the blueberry, so we're going to see what happens when we color this in. Okay, I'm going to set that aside for a moment. I'm going to let that ink dry a little bit. I'm going to bring in this greeting that says hello there. And let's see, hello there. And let's get a block. Now I'm not worrying about lining it up straight on here because I'm going to stamp it on here, and then I can line the punch up to punch it out. So I'm going to bring in my Blueberry Bushel ink again. I'll ink this up. And I'll kind of center this like so on my cardstock. We stamped it. And now put that aside, bring in my punch. And then we can center it on here and then punch it out. That's what's nice about punches. They're quick and easy. They're a lot quicker than doing the die cutting. All right, so now We got all our pieces here. Let's kind of take this and put it aside, and we're going to do our coloring, and then we'll assemble everything. And again, I'm using the same color blends on this card as well. Bring in my dark, and kind of just like I did on the last one, I'm going to come in and color over, you know, those shadow lines that the artist had put on this image. Okay. Right. Let's do this one over here. Kind of going with a light touch around the edges of this because this marker is pretty inky, so I'm trying to avoid having it bleed outside of the stamped line. I do have a color lifter sitting right over here to my side just in case if I need it. The best way to use that, make sure that, like, your ink is dry, and then when you come in with the color lifter, you may have to do it a couple of times, but you know, just to like scribble a little bit over what went outside the line. But just let it dry in between, because it may not remove it the first time around. It'll fade it. But yeah, let it dry first and then go back in and repeat the process until you're satisfied, you know, um, with how much ink that's outside that stamp line. Okay, so there is our blueberries. Okay, I'm gonna let that dry some, so you can still see those lines. Sometimes depending on certain colors, it kind of washes it out. But when I look at my sample, it's like, okay, that doesn't look like I stamped it in black. It looks like I actually stamped it in that blueberry bushel. Okay, so then I'm gonna come in. This time I'm gonna like outline my leaves. And again, we'll go around our blueberries. And we'll do that main vein. And just go over these lines. Okay. So again, thank you, Melody, for suggesting these sets, because all three of them, it was the first time of me putting ink to them, so thank you. And again, if you have any requests at all, feel free to just put it in the comments, and if I have it and I haven't done it before, I will add it to my video list the following month. I do have a monthly newsletter that I send out. I typically send it out on the first Tuesday of each month. In my newsletters, I have like anything that I got going on here in the studio, any in-person events. I also put in there anything special, sales, whatever Stampin' Up has going on. every month they do come out with 2 or 3 new kits in their kits collection. That's why I always send it out like on the first Tuesday, because that's when we find out what those kits are going to be. I also have my video list, so everything that I'm using for my Friday night lives, everything I'm using for my Throwback Thursdays, my monthly Christmas card inspiration that I do on the first of each month. I have everything there as far as what I'm going to use. So if you request something before the end of the month, because I typically uh, make the decision on what I'm going to use, what do you call it, before the end of the month. Yeah, I can get it in, and if it's too late, then I'll just add it to the following month. And again, that's if I have it. If I have it, I mean, I'll definitely let you know whether I have it or if I've already done something with it. But yeah, it's I have a lot of stuff that I can work with. And sometimes it's like I'll just glance through an old catalog and see, okay, do I got that? I never did anything with that. So let's go with that. So it would be helping me out too. Makes it a little bit easier. Okay, so we're just going to fill in our blueberries here. Okay. And then we'll come in with our light old olive and fill in our leaves. And if you end up leaving some spots that are still white, I mean, that has a nice effect to it too. It looks like it's been watercolored. Because when you watercolor, I mean, your watercoloring isn't going to look like everything's going to be fully filled in, but it's kind of got that nice look to it when you leave just a little bit of white in it. But I'm not thinking too much when it comes to coloring these things in. I'm just filling it in. Okay, there we go. So there is our image. Okay, and then we'll move that paper out of the way. So I'm going to take my Stampin' Seal here, and I'm going to add some to the back of this. And I'm going to center it on my piece of not Balmy Blue, Blueberry Bushel. So there's a little bit of a border on that, like so. Let's add some of our dimensionals to the back of this. Again, using what I got left, and now we got an empty sheet, so I've used them all up. Okay, and then bring in the rest of this. So I am going to use my liquid glue on this. I find that if I am adding some designer series paper to my card base, when I use the liquid glue, it gives me a little bit of that wiggle room that I can get it in place straight, because when you use that, it's really sticky, and a lot of times if you try to peel it up to move it, yeah, it ends up wrinkling your designer series paper. And let me move this down a little bit. Now, when I did cut this strip, I did cut it just a hair longer than 5.5, just so that way I knew that it would go from edge to edge. So now I have this little bit right here. Now, some people use their paper snips to trim that. But what I like to use, I do have one of these little guillotine paper cutters. I'll bring the arm down a little bit, and just slide my card, have it flush with this top edge and where the blade is, and I'll just trim, and then you can see that I've trimmed that right along the edge of the card base. So just a little bit of the paper. Okay, and then we're going to take our stamped and colored image, and we're going to center this, line that up, and we'll center it right here. And what's nice is the paper's got those lines on it, so it helps us a bit in putting that down straight. And then I'm going to add some glue to the back of my punched out greeting piece here. And then we'll take this, we're going to place that right down here like so. And then again, for our bling on this card, like I said, I totally forgot to bring in the actual embellishments for it. My bling is going to be the Wink of Stella, and just like the other card, I'm going to add some on the blueberries only. I find that when I use the clear Wink of Stella on images that I have colored in with my Stampin' Blends, of course it makes it all sparkly, but I also find that it deepens the color and it just makes them look a little more vibrant. Remember the days of using the, what we have? Dazzling Diamonds, the loose glitter. And you always hope that you wouldn't end up with glitter all over the place. All right, so there is the second card. So we got that pop of that blueberry bushel on the crumb cake. Crumb cake's a nice neutral color for a card base. Okay, so let me bring in the first card we made. So this one's all about the blue. We got our blueberry bushel card base, and we used this image here to stamp the background on our card. So we kind of made our own designer series paper in a way. And then I just layered my stamped basic white piece with my greeting, and just kind of layered that off-centered from the Balmy blue piece, and we got it popped up. And of course the Wink of Stella on the blueberries. And then the second one, we did our horizontal card, added some designer series paper, that's blueberry bushel as well. And then of course what we stamped in the background really stands out because it's up against that crumb cake card base. And then we got our little greeting right there. So yeah, very cute cards. I really love how these turned out. Even though I didn't put the iridescent rhinestones on it like I was thinking of ahead of time before I took the picture. But thank you so much, everyone, for stopping by and watching this episode of Throwback Thursday, where I featured the Blueberry Bunches standalone stamp set. Again, that's retired. I did check. It's no longer in the online store, so it's now discontinued and retired. It's been sold out now for a little bit. So if you like the projects, please give the video a thumbs up. And if you haven't already done so, please subscribe and then hit the notification bell. When you hit that notification bell, it lets you know when I'm going live, which right now again is every Friday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. There's very few instances that this happens, but this month, Saturday, June 28th, right now we have it scheduled where I'm going to have a guest stamper come in, somebody who is on my Blue City Stampers team, and she's going to demonstrate a few cards for you. She will be using the Sunrise Sailing bundle that is currently, I believe, it could be an online exclusive item. I don't think it's in the new catalog, but she's going to create 3 projects with that. And again, that'll be on June 28th. So that will be posted at some point on the YouTube channel. But whenever I have pre-recorded videos like my Throwback Thursdays and all that, you get notified when I have a new video posted, and also when I go live. And what it does, it not only helps, with YouTube and getting me out there, and others who love to do some crafting using Stampin' Up! Products or stamping in general. It gets the video out there where it's in their feed, and yeah, it inspires, gives them some inspiration. And it, like I said, it not only helps me in growing the YouTube channel, it also helps me in building my Stampin' Up! Business as well. So again, thank you everyone for joining me. And again, next Thursday, I will be using the Nested Friends bundle, and hope to see, well, we won't see each other because it'll be pre-recorded. So everybody, wherever you may be, stay safe and have a blessed one, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.